MacVoicesTV at Macworld iWorld 2012 is brought to you by PDF Pen for iPad from Smile, the mobile version of the award-winning Mac PDF editor. Use it to sign a contract, make corrections, fill out an application, make comments on a presentation, and much more. It's the mobile app that doesn't feel like you left the important features back at the office. Good afternoon. Welcome to Mac, iPad, and iPhone Essentials, the stuff you gotta have. My name's Chuck Joiner, and you can find me on the web at MacVoices.com. I do a podcast, that one's an audio. I do a video podcast called MacVoicesTV, and a few other things. And I'm happy to have with me my good friend and one of the people that I respect most in the podcast community, Mr. Ken Ray.
Hi.
Ken?
How's it going? I'm Ken Ray. I do a daily Apple News and news-related Apple News podcast called macOS Ken, online at macosken.com, and I do a call-in show called macOS Ken Live once a week, and you can call in and tell me why I'm wrong. Or right, if you feel generous.
The right part happens once in a while.
Yeah, occasionally.
This session is a little bit different maybe than a lot of the sessions you come to at Macworld. Every Macworld, iWorld, Macworld Conference Expo, whatever it's called, usually everybody's talking about what's new and hot on the show floor. This session, when we put this together, was kind of inspired by a conversation I've had with a lot of people who, they ask me questions about how to solve problems or what I'm using for things, and the answers are just so blindingly obvious to me. How could you be in this community and not know about this product or this product or this product? And there are a lot of people that aren't. So we decided to put together a session to talk about what we think are the things that we can't live without or wouldn't want to live without, and maybe you don't want to live without either. So we don't have very much in the way of new product necessary, but these are things that are sort of tried and true in our minds. So if you're looking for new, absolutely, the show floor is packed with cool new stuff, but this is where we have beat on this stuff and it holds up for us. That's us.
That's us.
Yeah, that's us. I didn't get a picture.
No, I'm sorry. I'm the one going like this.
So.
You first, me
this
first.
Is mine. I think we both agree on this one, don't we?
Yeah, we both picked that one.
Yeah.
So go for it.
The Apple TV, if you don't have one, this may be one of the best, most innovative products that we've seen in a long time. Not just because it lets you stream movies and things from the Apple Store, the iTunes Store, and not just because you can rent Netflix movies with it, but the idea that you can, for me, that I can take content that's on my iOS devices, stream it right to the big screen. So I can be watching something on the big screen, then finish it up at lunch or wherever, and that goes for the iPad and the iPhone as well. And Apple has implemented this so well that it works over wireless. You don't necessarily have to have any wired connections, which you obviously don't with these. The image quality is truly amazing. It's $99. And so if you think of it as a $99 add-on for any TV in your room, where now you can take your content with you, you can, and especially for a couple podcasters who like to produce things online, to take that and don't overlook the fact that you can stream audio as well to a TV, which means that you've automatically got a set of speakers in every room.
Right.
So those are the reasons I love the Apple TV. Ken?
It's pretty much the same thing for me. I had family members ask me right after Apple TV came out if they needed one, and for most of them they didn't. But I mean, if you're here, then probably you want it. Because if you're carrying content around, just like Chuck said, there's tons of stuff. We'll get to Spotify in a minute, and I'm sort of doing it differently than Chuck. The stuff that I can't live without is almost none of it is functional, but it's the stuff that just makes it, it's the stuff that makes it work for me. So Spotify now plays through my TV all day long because I have the Apple TV. But if you, I don't, like, friends and family members will ask me if they need it, and I'm like, well, do you buy stuff from iTunes? No, not really. Okay, well, do you stream Netflix? No, not really. No, you don't need it. You might want a Roku box at that point because they've actually got more content. But if you eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff like we do, and I'm guessing you, $99, it's like the best $99 I spent last year.
And I guess the reason it works for me is that it seems like I'm never home. So for those few minutes I am home, I would really like to see whatever it is I've been trying to watch on the big screen. But then I don't want to have to figure out, now let's see, where did I leave it paused at home so I can start to pick it up here? This is just where everything lives, and I just send it to a big screen if there happens to be one around with an Apple TV, and if not, then I watch it here. So that's why the Apple TV is here. And by the way, I should tell you, we'll have a link at the end. You're welcome to take notes if you want, but we have a page set up so that the links are all there. You can just go right there, click off, and be launched straight to the products. This one's yours.
That one is mine. I have to do a tiny bit of a disclaimer. They've been an advertiser on my show for the past couple of months, and they're going to be on next month as well, but that's not why they're up here. If you use something that you absolutely need Windows to run, Boot Camp's okay, except you have to choose one or another when you go in. I have heard from a number of people that VMware Fusion 4 is their absolute favorite, and they've tried a bunch. I've tried Fusion, and I've tried Parallels. Parallels I found to be a little bit kludgy. This seemed like a really a better implementation if you need that or if you think you need that. The problem is that didn't get changed. Bummer.
Oh.
What I was going to say is if you're just doing it for Windows or you're just doing it for Office, well, that kind of screwed up a thing. There's so many things that I used to think I needed virtualization for, I don't anymore. I mean, partly because they've started writing some of the applications for the Mac now, or because Apple's got stuff that does just as well, like Pages, which of course you can bounce to all the different things. What I had thought was going to be the next slide was Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. I mean, these are all the things that when I first got a Mac, I was like, well, how am I going to do this without the Microsoft stuff? And of course, Microsoft has Office for Mac, and you can go that way, but you don't have to anymore. It's kind of feels better and more cohesive when you don't. But if you absolutely feel like you need to or you feel like you have to, VMware, both from people that I've talked to and from trying it myself, would be the one that I would do. But I kind of like not having to do that anymore. I like being all Apple, finally.
And I have to, it's funny, the number of overlaps we had, because I've had experience with all the virtualization software. VMware is my choice too. It seems to be faster, easier, smoother, taking nothing away from the others. They have some very, very strong points. But, and I'm also with Ken, if you can get away from Windows, run, don't walk.
Stay away from Windows.
If you can get the Express bus, take it, because it remains a world of hurt from my perspective. And things work so well here. But the reason that I have experience with it is I deal with some companies who still have websites who insist on being Internet Explorer only. And no matter how many kludges or how many workarounds you have on the Mac side, it still creates a problem. So at some point, it's just run Windows, run Explorer, inside Fusion, and then close it out. So you're right, this is a great solution.
Cool.
This one's mine, and I really do believe in this. I'm curious, how many people here have adapted a trackpad? Oh, good. That's nice to see. That's really good. I feel strongly, and this was a surprise product for me, because from day one, the first Macintosh I bought, the day I bought my first Mac, the first peripheral I bought was a trackball. I never liked the mouse at all. And you could never get me away from my mouse, or excuse me, from my trackball until this. And now, not just because of the MacBook, but because of the gestures and because we're all going to a touch-based interface, we're touching everything. That didn't come out right. Let's rephrase that. We are learning to touch control everything. That's a little better. If you haven't made this leap, it's not that expensive, and you will be headed toward the future. Now, I know there's some arguments for precision people, the graphics pros out there and all that need to go 1 pixel at a time, and that's fine. But for general control, this is something you really got to have, because if you don't do it now, you will do it later. Any thoughts on trackpad? Yes, sir.
I had to buy one for my dog because it didn't.
Okay.
Okay, this is sort of along what I was saying earlier about moving from, I don't know, from professional or from the Windows world to sort of the all Apple side. I worked on Cool Edit, which became Adobe Audition, for about 12 years. And that was the reason I was using virtualization software, was just so I could use Adobe Audition. They finally, this past year, came out with a Mac version of it. If you want a tremendous amount of control over your audio, tons of effects that you can add to it, and you don't mind a fairly steep learning curve if you've never used it, because, I mean, it's somewhere between, well, no, it's a professional application. So if you've got a little time to learn or a little time to put into it, it's my personal favorite as far as audio editing is concerned. But again, you don't have to have it, because, I mean, this comes on your Mac. I spent forever. It was actually only this summer that I started using GarageBand for my podcast, because I went traveling and I forgot to take my old copy of Soundtrack, which is what I was using for a while on my Mac. I forgot to bring my disc, and so I'm sitting 1,000 miles away from my stuff, and I've got my Mac and I've got GarageBand, and I'm like, okay, fine, I have to learn how to do it. It took me about an extra hour the first time I did it, just because I didn't really know the controls, but since this past summer, I've been doing my show on GarageBand. Now, Adobe Audition, when it came out, I want to say for the Mac was between $200 and $300. I just went back to their site this week. It's down to $99. So we'll find out in a month what I'm using then, because I mean, I've got 12 years of history with, going from Cool Edit to Adobe, so I'll probably go back to that. But it's kind of, I mean, it doesn't offer quite the level of control that I want, but it's absolutely amazing to me. And I should have known, because I think both Victor and Adam do their shows on GarageBand. And I spent forever thinking, no, but I need 64 tracks, or I need this much more stuff, and it turns out it's there. So those are my two choices for that.
And I just have to say, GarageBand, it's not my tool of choice for a lot of things, but there's so much power in there. It's a musician's tool primarily, and we do voice editing, so that's why it's not my tool of choice. And I'm not a musician, and the whole metronome thing makes no sense to me. So.
Oh, well, let me back up a tiny bit. I don't record into GarageBand.
Oh.
I edit in GarageBand. I record in Audacity because I want just a single audio track that I can edit easily, because the stuff down at the bottom still feels a little kludgy to me.
Well, and that's a musician's tool. And do you play anything?
No.
Neither do I.
I beatbox.
Okay, so I actually have a work life. And the next two products, and I'll kind of follow Ken's lead. Smile has been a sponsor of one of my shows. They're sponsoring some of what we're doing here at Macworld, iWorld. But I say that with a lot of pride, simply because I love their products. I believe them. I use them every single day. I can't imagine how I would do without PDF Pen or Text Expander. Crash. If you're not familiar with them, PDF Pen lets you edit PDFs, manipulate PDFs, OCR PDFs, combine, split apart, bend, fold, spindle, mutilate PDFs, whatever you want to do to them. PDF Pen lets you do it. And in the business world, PDFs have become one of the ways that things get communicated back and forth. So being able to do some things that maybe the original person who produced that either didn't necessarily want you to be able to, or they didn't know enough when they created it to let you be able to, PDF Pen will let you do that. Text Expander is a little utility that, well, it's not a little utility anymore, it's pretty powerful, that you can dump pages of text into it and assign a key command to it, and when you issue that key command, it can spit out those pages of text, or a snippet of HTML code, or it can trigger other events. So that if I say have a graphic that I want to paste into something, I've set it up and have the ability to just hit 3 keys and paste the graphic, or my name and address, or a boilerplate response to an email, or anything like that. It's one of those utilities that you're going to start using it for 1 or 2 things, and you think, yeah, that'd be nice to have. And then after a while, you start to realize just how powerful it is and how many things you can do with it. And so those just are both from Smile. They're both outstanding, and they're both huge productivity tools from where I sit. Ken? You doing productive?
I think you did great.
Okay.
Oh, that was the slide from earlier.
Yeah, but you know what?
Go ahead.
I've got to touch these too, and I agree with them. If you have not moved to Pages, then you're missing out on a really easy way to create documents. And if you don't I don't care if you do presentations, if you don't play with Keynote, you're crazy, because it's just fun. It's just fun to see what you can do, and you never, if you haven't done presentations for whatever it is you do, home, school, church, work, whatever, you will find that you want to do presentations because they're so much fun to create.
I actually, for a friend's video podcast, he wanted, I can't remember, he wanted like a 1.5 to 2 minute feature, and I'm not a huge fan of doing video myself, but I put together the video in Keynote, and it was fairly easy because I don't do it that often. I don't make presentations that often. Just get in and play. They're also really, my favorite thing about both this and GarageBand 2, every time you turn them on, and I never turn it off because I want to be able to access it immediately, it pops up and says, do you want a tutorial? And I always click through it because I don't, but sometimes there's one thing I need to know how to do, and I love the fact that Apple stuff is all right there. They've got little video that lasts maybe, 30 seconds to a minute on each individual topic. I appreciate the level of support that's sort of just kind of built into it, too. And I don't play with numbers.
Yeah. and I have to tell you, too, doing presentations, a funny thing happens. This sounds so much like an Apple commercial, but it absolutely happens regularly. When you do a presentation created in Keynote, people will come up to you and say, that didn't look like a PowerPoint. What did you do that in? And it's true, because you can do so much customization. You can make it as clean or as messy, as sophisticated or as simple, so easily. And when you go and play with the Keynote environment, then go back over to PowerPoint, you'll just want to shoot yourself, because it is so complex and ugly and complex and nasty. And I said complex twice.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. And ugly twice.
And also, I mean, you can see the prices there. You can't beat the price on it. I mean, that's, if you don't need numbers, fine. If you don't need Keynote, fine. It's $20 for pages as opposed to how much it would be for a full suite. So.
I'll let you take this one.
No, that's you.
Well, it was both of us.
No, that was you.
That
was well, actually, I put out a call to my listeners earlier this week, asking them, if there was one thing that you couldn't be without, and this was the top vote. This was the one that I got the most. Is it?
And I had a gentleman on a plane tell me that he had an Excel spreadsheet of 3 pages of all his passwords, and he said, I'm dying. Can you recommend anything? This is a piece of cake. If you don't buy 1Password, you're crazy. And if you're not familiar with it, 1Password is a utility that runs in the background. It's compatible with your browser, and as you can see there in this screenshot, it'll put a little item up in your browser's bar that when you go to a page that has a login, you click that, you will have to enter your master password. You set a master password once, and that's the only one that you have to remember. That's why they call it 1Password. After that, it will drop down a list of, as you can see, the service and the logins you have for that service. Click that, and you're logged in. If you're using it regularly, in a session, you're not going to have to enter that master password more than once. So if I'm surfing all afternoon, literally with click, click, I'm into a site. Move to the next site, click, click, I'm into the site. It will start remembering your passwords once you turn it on, so you will have to enter them manually, log into those sites for the first time, and then that's it. And they offer a lot more sophisticated controls, and that to me it's great, and there are a lot of other things it does, but that's the killer feature right there. I couldn't tell you the passwords to most of my sites right now because they're all in 1Password, and I don't need to remember them. So in my opinion, if there's one thing you buy after this session, it's this program, because this is the one that will solve your problems. And I could go off on a 20-minute thing about security, and we all know that security is a good thing. Now, you don't have to just use your mother's maiden name or whatever. You can use a string this long of complete nonsense, and don't worry about it, because 1Password will keep it for you.
The Dropbox syncing for that makes it a lifesaver for work at home too, because all my passwords are in one spot, and I can do it from any computer.
Yeah.
I had a member of my MUG group that had 30 pages in a Word document of usernames and passwords. And he kept forgetting them, and telling this, I got to buy 1Password. Now he's hooked.
And it also store bank accounts.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of other things. Anything secure.
Yeah. And for those of you in the back, you can't hear what's going up here. One of the other great features about 1Password, you can store your password file, it's a secured file, on Dropbox. So that means any computer that you have on Dropbox automatically has access to all those passwords. So if I'm on my office machine at the office and I change a password there, it gets saved to that master file. It immediately syncs up to my home machine, to my laptop, and I don't have to go home and think, now what did I change that password to? It's already right there. It's seamless. It's all encrypted. Yeah, it's all encrypted. So yeah, this is just, I think, in my opinion, it's the #1 thing we have.
Will it handle 2 layers? You know, some places now you have to put in one word to get you to the login page.
Yeah, from you create 2. Yeah, you create 2. So the answer is sort of, and maybe that's a workaround or not, but you create for your bank, login 1, login 2, and that's the way you get around it. How did I get another one? Okay, well this is default folder. And this is one that I've been using since, well, a long time. I wanted to embarrass myself. The one thing all of you do, everybody in here uses an open dialog box and a save dialog box at some point. And Apple's done a nice job of enhancing them over the years, but there's just nothing quite like default folder. I'm hoping, yeah, this is a little movie, and I'll just let it play while we're talking. But you can see from the side, when you pop up the dialog box, you get a little favorites, you get things, the times that were recent. It will remember where you've been. It will let you set favorites so you can navigate directly to them as opposed to having them over in the Finder sidebar kind of thing. It will also let you, if you're in an open save dialog box here and you have the window open here that you want to get to, but it's like 20 layers deep, no problem. Just reach over there, click that, and immediately in the open and save dialog box, you're 20 layers deep right in that folder. It just speeds up navigation so much, it lets you navigate back so quickly to either favorites or where you've recently been, because let's face it, that's sort of the path we all run, that it's indispensable. It's the first thing I load on a new Mac, because I feel naked without it.
How much is it?
I think it's like $30, but St. Clair Software hasn't charged me charged an update fee in probably 7 years, and they keep it very current. It's absolutely very current. So it's a killer.
I think you sold me.
Good.
Yeah.
There, I got one.
How did you get another one?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Did you mess up my slides?
I must have.
Okay. Well.
Did you take out my slides?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The iDAP Universal Charger. This is relatively new, but I've fallen in love with this very quickly because we all have now a lot of devices to charge. And these people went about it really well. There are a couple key things here. You can see by the one picture in the lower corner, in this particular model, this is a 3-bay. There are 3 areas where you plug in the charging adapters. It comes with 7 adapters, including a dock connector for your iDevices, mini USB, micro USB, God knows why, BlackBerry, a few others but you can buy as many as you want of what you want separately. I think they're like $10 or $12 each. Plug those in, drop your device onto them, as you can see in the other picture, and they charge. And that's it. There's a little indicator light there, green or red, as to whether it's charging or charged. But I like the adaptability of this. But the other thing they've done, first of all, for the smaller devices that sit up on top, they have built the connectors so that you can leave it in a bumper case or any reasonably sized case, and it will fit on. But the other great thing they did, if you look in the bottom corner photo, they put a USB port on the side of it, so that I don't have to balance my iPad up on there or take it out of the case, and we'll talk about cases in a little while, but I can plug my iPad into the same device. So now one corner of my dresser at home is reserved for the iDAP charger, and that's where my earpiece goes every night, that's where my iPad goes every night, and that's where my phone goes every night. It's all right there, it's all compact, I don't have to wonder where things are, and in the morning everything is up and running. So for me, this is a great, and if I get another device that I need another plug for, I'll just buy one of the adapters, and I still have that, you know, that 3rd bay, or I can change them around any way I want. So That's why the iDapt is here.
Okay.
You're taking this.
These guys were at Macworld last year. They were at the press preview, and they were basically giving one of their cases to everybody. And my immediate thought was, okay, well, how great can it be if they're giving it to everybody? And it's not pretty. That said, my fiance has bought 4 iPad cases over the past year, and they're all pretty, but she keeps, like, you know, knocking it over, or it doesn't sit at the right angle or whatever. When I got my iPad 2, I got a smart cover, so I gave her this with my original iPad, and she didn't like it. She doesn't like the look of it. She likes the convenience of it. The second she stopped using this, I took my smart cover off and put my iPad back in this. I love, and it's simple. All they've got is like a little Velcro thing back here and a Velcro thing back here, but you can make it any angle you want, and you can set it on any sort of. I'm so sold on this case. I wish it were a tiny bit prettier. That said, I think it's like, I can't remember if it's $40 or $50. I think it's a tremendous case. They're at zugu.com, and they were very smart to give them out to everybody, because I know about half of us probably tried it. I'm completely sold on this the next time. The one thing I don't like about it for the iPad 2 is the one that I have is for an iPad 1, and just that little bit of space, it moves around a little bit. But they've made one for the iPad 2, and I feel certain they'll make one for the iPad 3 as well. So go there, I would say.
I think the problem is, I don't know if anybody found this all to be true, but there's not really any good case that you could use the smart cover you bought with the case and the smart cover. That's a decent case.
There's a guy on the floor who's got something called the Grablet, and it kind of acts as like a protector for the back, and it will work with your smart cover on the front. But you're right. It's like, as far as a
like, if you were to, because I spent some time with them, to shake it or you drop it with the smart cover.
Oh yeah, that's gonna fly off. That's true. Yeah. A friend of ours, I wish I had been able to see it. Well, I can't even tell you the name of it, so never mind. There's one that's on the floor right now that a friend of mine has that looks really great. But you're right, it's not even with the smart cover. They've sort of replicated the smart cover thing. So it uses the magnets, it opens and turns it on, turns it off, just like a regular smart cover. But yeah, I haven't found anything that does that. But I kind of don't care anymore, because now I've got this. I mean, again, once I got over the novelty of the smart cover, I found that what I actually did want, you know, the reality distortion field was going strong. He's right, that is what I need. And it turns out, no, I actually want something that's going to protect the back of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have only because, well, I spent a lot of money on it.
Yeah. And you know, I can't echo Ken's enough, because this is my iPad cover of choice too, and I've tried a lot of them. It's not sexy and it's not pretty, but boy, is it functional. May I?
Sure.
Because there's one thing Ken didn't mention. They really did think this out, but it also has a hand strap in back. Now, it's not like some of them that, you know, wrap around your hand so you can play ping pong with it. But who wants to play ping pong with an iPad?
Well, actually, I thought you can use it as a hand strap, but that's actually also for, like, you know, the kids are in the back seat, and you want to show them, you know, video. I mean, it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of iPad cases. But
Yeah.
mostly, for me, it's just the angle part of it. I mean, because if you find a case that's got 4 angles or 5 angles, well, then that should do most of what you want it to do, but it doesn't do exactly what you want it to do. And this does.
Yeah, agreed.
Plus, it comes with a Julian or something.
Well, and you know, you don't have one, but they also have, I think they charge like $3 for it. They also have another little add-on that is an earphone wrap that mounts on the bottom of it, and so you actually can wrap your earphones there and have them with you all the time. And I have that because that too is incredibly useful, because that means that I'm not exercising my one superpower, and that is to tangle cables or cords in less time than anyone you've ever met. So it's just, I mean, we all, what? You'll take it, okay, well, we'll contest later. But it just is amazing, you know, how simple some things are. Everybody talks about, more iPad cases. Well, we're all looking for the perfect iPad case. Ken and I think we found it. Yes, sir.
Is there a case that you recommend that incorporates a keyboard?
No, I mean, I haven't seen one yet. I checked out a few last year. I haven't been to the show floor as much this year as I want to. I checked out one last year.
We picked up the Zag one, and it's fantastic.
Really?
The door goes right in, and I mean, literally you open it up and it slides right into the slot.
Cool. Are they here this year?
Yeah. Their new one this year is much improved from last year.
Is it? Okay.
Zag. Somebody
Zag.
asked who it was. Zag.
Yeah, Zag.
He's saying.
The what? Idonic? Idonic? Not shipping yet.
And there's a Brookstone one.
There's a Brookstone one? Yeah.
Restoration hardware.
Really? Yeah, that is pretty.
Okay. Restoration hardware? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, well,
Right.
you,
Get those sexy iPad bags, and you can't fit your case in it once you put a keyboard with it. So,
I got to tell you, this is not maybe an answer to your question, and it may not. There's a company, I apologize, I think it's maybe iKeyboard, I'm not sure, but it's a red booth. It's very red with long tables, and they have an overlay that you can put on your screen when the keyboard pops up on your screen. This lays right on top of it and gives a tactile place for you to put your fingers. I think it's $35. It doesn't Velcro, it doesn't glue. They have a plastic they've engineered that is sticky enough that it'll stay right there. So it's going to be a little annoying, I think, if you are trying to use your iPad as an iPad, but if you're sitting there to do a lot of text entry and you're used to touch typing, this is not a bad option. Sir?
Does that take away the ability to do the extra keys, like if you hold your finger on the E for an accent, or if you put your finger on the comma, you can hit the
Yeah.
single quote instead?
I did not spend that much time with it, so I can't answer that.
I don't think it removes those functionalities. Essentially, all it does is raise up the keys. So any keys that would be there existing when you're using the iPad would still be there.
Yeah.
The difficulty is it gives a little plastic bridge between each of the keys. So actually scrolling up from your standard key to one of the accents, it will break that link.
Okay, so that may.
If you want to go full screen, what do you do with it?
Well, that's it. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be something. I think if you get on a plane and you're going to do a lot of writing, it would be very nice. As for on and off, I mean, you'd be constantly moving it. So, it's a very specific solution. But for $35, it's not bad.
Okay. I've been going back and forth for the past few months trying to decide which one's right. Kindle for iPad or iBooks. And right now I'm leaning towards Kindle for iPad. This is a comparison. They look about the same. I don't like the fact that the highlights, because I do a lot of highlighting, I don't like the fact that the highlights on the Kindle for iPad are barely visible. That's not a problem with the projector. That's a problem with the Kindle for iPad. I wrote to them. They wrote back to me, so great. I like the fact that you can take notes in both of them. That's really fantastic. They look about the same. Apple's, of course, is a bit nicer. It's a bit prettier. That's really great. The problem that I have with iBooks is all of your notes are stuck in your iBook, at least right now. And unless somebody knows another way to get them out, I haven't been able to find it. With the Kindle for iPad, if you're taking notes, you can actually make your notes public and put them on a website. And this is great for a couple of reasons. If you know somebody else who's reading it too and you guys want to trade thoughts on something, then it's accessible to both of you. But the other thing is you can actually then pull those notes off the web if you're going to use them in something else. Like when I was reading the Steve Jobs book, I've got tons of notes through the Steve Jobs book, and they're all stuck in the Steve Jobs book. I'm hoping with the education stuff that they're doing, because I read it in iBooks. I'm hoping with the education stuff, they've got to come out with something that's going to be a bit more collaborative. And at that point, I'll probably start choosing iBooks again. But for right now, I'm reading a book called The Transparent Society by David Brin. I don't know how people are finding out that I'm reading that, but there are people that we're now reading each other's notes as we're taking them. It's fun. I mean, it's really great to have that sort of, it's great to have that sort of interactivity that instead of just, oh, well, I made all these really neat notes and now I'll lend my iPad to somebody so that they can see what I was thinking, or I can borrow theirs so I can see what they're thinking. But I'm finding, what's weird is I'm not huge into things like I'm not huge into things like Google+. I'm falling off more and more on Facebook. I'm doing a lot of like Instagram and Twitter. And I used to think that everybody trying to tie in some sort of social thing to their product was goofy. And something happened in the past 6 months where I want everything to be social now. I want to have access to it. I don't always use it, but like I've gone from Rhapsody to Spotify. The reason I went from Rhapsody to Spotify was, well, it was twofold. Let me back up a little bit. Huge proponent of subscription music services, and we can fight about that if you want. Rhapsody has been around for a very long time. I used to use Rhapsody. I came back to them. It was really great. When Spotify came out, it's this idea, like all those people over there are friends of mine from Facebook. I know a lot of people don't like the fact that you have to tie in with Facebook, but I've got this one friend who I don't see up there on the screen right now, but she is so into house music and so into so many different kinds of music that I really like when I hear it, but I don't know them. If I go to her Spotify thing, it's all there, all kinds of music that I would feel like an idiot going to iTunes to look for, because there's no recommendation as far as like from somebody I actually know. I don't really know the feeling, and it's neat to be able to listen to a whole song that somebody likes as opposed to between 30 seconds and a minute and a half of the song that somebody likes. The other reason I chose Spotify, that didn't get moved either, darn it. The other reason I chose Spotify is because of the pricing. We're going to come to a pricing list for Spotify in a minute, I guess. Rhapsody was charging $9.99 for unlimited on the computer, unlimited listening on the computer, and one mobile device. And the problem was it wasn't one mobile device at a time, it was one mobile device. So I could set it up for my iPhone, and then if I wanted to listen to my iPad, I actually had to go back to my computer, log into my Rhapsody account, deauthorize my iPhone, authorize my iPad, and of course the next time I wanted to go someplace else, I'd have to go do that whole thing again. Spotify for $9.95 a month is unlimited on the phone, is unlimited on the computer, and up to, I think, 3 mobile devices. Still only one at a time, but I don't have to do any of the goofy, switching it out, turning it around, all that stuff. And it's free to try out, not for the mobile part of it. I think the mobile, they only give you, mobile's not really great. They only give you like 24 hours to try out the mobile, which to me didn't really feel like enough time. But I got to know the service enough that I went ahead and risked it, because the other thing is you can always cancel. Yes, sir.
Now, what about audio?
What about what?
Have you used audio? I don't get that at all.
I haven't.
I love Spotify. I hate Facebook.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody's listening, you get that little music note, it takes you right to what they're listening to, and you can kind of, it's a shared experience. But audio, they keep saying you have more music credits, but I don't.
Yeah, how did I even get on that? Because I get the same thing too. They're like, hey, we've got more of your music for you. I'm like, do I know you? Oh, I forgot the handshake. I've never been a fan of Pandora, just because when I want to listen to what I want to listen to, I want to listen to that. I mean, I put together the first time I did, Pandora's okay, but I mean, if I want to listen to Morrissey, I want to listen to Morrissey. I don't want to listen to artists that Pandora thinks sound like Morrissey, right? I mean, I'm a huge fan of being able to listen to what I want to listen to when I want to. At the same time, I'm a huge fan, though, of the subscription things, because, I mean, I used to say, Toby Keith. I listen to Toby Keith once a year. I don't know why, but every now and then I'm just like, I want to hear I Love This Bar. Okay, I know why I want to hear that. But exactly, but I don't need to buy every Toby Keith album, I don't even need to buy the songs, because I'm going to listen to it one day, and then next year I'll go back and it'll still be there theoretically. I've only hit a couple of artists that I wanted to listen to that aren't there, but that's okay. Haven't really played with them yet. Actually, I was checking them out. I was checking out an email about them on the plane on the way out, but of course I couldn't check them out because I was on a plane. So. Well, I would like to see the app portion and for the actual app on the mobile device, because they're great. There's some the team somebody who's a DJ. Songs to kind of control the playlist.
But there's no transferring that.
Yeah. But I mean, how long have they been here? 6 months, maybe? Yeah, so give it time, I hope.
Your Toby Keith on 1090 and you're locked out.
Is that for the free or for the paid? I believe the paid is still unlimited. I want to say it's the free, which they do have a free one for the desktop that you can listen to, but I want to say that they limit the number of hours and the number of times that you can access a particular track. I'd have to go back and double check that, but I think the premium is year in.
Getting back to the Kindle versus iBook issue, the deal killer for me that put me over to the Kindle for Mac and devices is that you can't copy and paste text. And you certainly can't do it on my Mac, which is where I do most of my writing and want all of my research.
Right. Yeah, that was, I'm sorry, I meant to hit that part. Once you get the notes out to the web, you then can pull the bits of text back up onto something else. It's really strange because, I mean, with the whole iCloud thing, with the whole interconnected device thing, with all of that stuff, why they're locking your own notes and your own highlights from iBooks into the book itself, it's just, I mean, unless that was a deal with the publishers, but then why is Amazon doing it?
I think the issue that we're going to run into with the iBooks and the sharing notes, like you were mentioning with the education, because I work in K-12, is the one kid on one iPad is writing instead of these long,
Sure.
and then it gets passed to every book in the iPad class, then, you know, they're going to have to write some security, they're going to have to write some management that goes in with the iBook.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, though, it wouldn't be difficult just to associate a tag with it. So the first time, Richard Drew, that's somebody I went to grade school with. The first time Richard Drew, you know, draws an obscenity there, it's going to have his name on it, right?
Feasibly.
Right. So I mean, that'll probably happen once per class, but as soon as somebody,
Hopefully it only happens once.
yeah. Or, of course, then if somebody like steals somebody else's iPad and does the drawing, then you're kind of host.
Well, I'm going to take this and push it forward because Goodreader is one of mine. And Goodreader is an ebook reader, document reader for the iDevices. And this is, I mean, it does so much. These guys are from Moscow, and every version just adds so much into it. But the bottom line is there's almost no format that you can throw at a Goodreader that it won't handle for the iPad. There are a couple, and if you look hard, you'll find them. But for the most part, you can throw a PDF, you can throw pretty much all the ebook formats of any kind, with the exception of iBooks, in. You can convert things over. You can throw videos in this. It has FTP servers built in. It has cloud syncing. You can do so much. It's like $4.99 in the App Store, and it's a good, like, Swiss Army knife tool for documents and all that you want to put on your iPad and have access to easily and in one place. It's really easy to work with. I have a ridiculous number of just PDF ebooks in here, so it's a great. Yes, ma'am.
I got nothing.
Yeah, sorry, for PC side, you know, throw it in the river and buy a Mac.
Because I really like to replace my technical library. I'm willing to pay to replace it once, but it's, you know, probably $5 or $10 grand, and I'm not going to do it twice.
There's a utility you may want to look at, and I don't know enough about, you know, your books, obviously, but there's a utility called Calibre. If you just Google it, Calibre in ebook, you will find it. And it's a great little management tool for taking things on and off of ebook devices, also for reading the books on your Mac. Now, it is Mac only, but it'll convert back and forth. It's not, the conversions aren't perfect, but they're certainly good enough. And it may be something you want to look at.
Especially for that app in general, it's a great app for creating. Like you have other documents, and you don't necessarily have what you want to make more mobile.
Yeah.
The dialogue is very easy. It has presets for different users. A couple clicks, and you have it on the device.
Yeah.
It's more important. A lot of times I find myself getting PDFs that are more expensive, and then when you put it into iWorld, but that particular app that will really help in the proper email format.
Yeah, I was going to say,
And it's free.
I put artwork to clients and make PDFs out of Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop and use that to show them.
Folks, we got bad news. We're out of time.
Can I do 30 seconds on one thing that we don't even have to do the slide?
Sure. Go.
If you play with photographs at all on your iPhone, there's a fantastic app called Picture Show. What I love about Picture Show is it's not quite as revolutionary as it was when it first came out, because now they've added the ability to change ratio aspects and things like that for editing in the iPhone itself. I like the fact that you can add text to it. You can 99 cents. I think it's 99 cents or $1.99. I can't remember which. If you play with photos at all, if you like to be able to add text to photos at all, it's incredibly simple. It's incredibly basic, and that's actually one that I use pretty constantly on my iPhone, because I don't think I talked about a single iPhone thing before that. So.
I tell you what, I'm going to jump in, and I'm sorry for the big quick thing. This is my Spire backpack. This backpack, as far as I can tell from looking back at photos, is 13 years old. Okay? I defy any of you to name anything in your setup, other than yourselves maybe, that are 13 years old. This will not die. They're a little more expensive than a lot of backpacks, but this thing is amazing. Go check them out, spireusa.com, if you're looking for a bag that will last. Lasted longer than my cars, lasted longer than most of my girlfriends. Go check it out.
Spire?
Spire.
Have you tried the Geo bag?
I tell you what, I'm going to ask you to hold that because we got to get out of here for the next presenter. But I promised you, these were the things we were going to talk about. So sorry about that.
I really did a number on your slideshow. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't know what happened. But what I'm trying to do is get to the end to give you the URL. There we go. That's the URL where everything we talked about up here and everything we were going to talk about, there are links to. So write that down, jump over there, you can find the links and find things. Thank you so much for the input and for everything. We hope to see you again next time. Thanks.
MacVoices TV is part of the MacVoices group and a member of Mac Level 10.